So till now we don't have any authentication mechanism for our UDG API. In this tutorial we'll see how we can add that. Currently we can query our API, and as a matter of fact anyone can query our API. Now we'll set our authentication mode to authentication token, and it's a bit secure, and you cannot query this API. Now let's see how we can create authorization tokens in order to query these APIs. So in order to create authorization token, I can directly create it using keys, but let's create policy. So policy acts as a template for us to create keys so that you don't have to modify all the keys again. So what we'll do is we'll create a policy, and using that policy we'll create keys. So this is going to be a general policy which we'll modify later, and we are going to call it user use policy, and we'll set that up. The keys expire after 1 hour, and our policy is created. Let's create a key using that, and create key. So this is our key. Let's try to query our API using this key. And you see this works. So one of the security vulnerability of GraphQL in general is about the query depth. So you can see that bad actors can actually exploit our APIs and do malicious queries. Like for example, if user wants, they can actually go as much as in depth that they would want, like this. And so on and on. So in order to protect our API against this kind of attacks, what we can do is we can attach query depth limits for our API keys or policies. Now let's see how we can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set our query depth limit to, let's say, 4, which will be to 4 depths: depth 1, 2, 3 and 4. So let's edit up policy and set query depth to 4 and update our policy. Now let's try to run this query again, and it says depth limit exceeded. So now users cannot do something like this. So let's try to remove this and this. So basically everything till here should be removed. And now that our query depth is 4, it should work. But again, if I try to go deeper in the query, it says depth limit exceeded. So that's how you can attach query depth limit for your UDG or any GraphQL APIs using Tyke. And now let's say you want to make this API public for other users to use. So let's create a catalog for that, and I'm gonna call it user reviews public, and we'll attach this policy to it, and we'll enable documentation for it. Let's save it and navigate to our portal. So on our portal you can see we have made this user reviews public. You can see the documentation here and use the playground, and you can also generate keys for this. So that's all for UDG APIs.